Chris.
Hey everybody, my name's Jenny Griffith and my company is called Wild Vedic Living, and I am here interviewing Kat today, Kat Henning, and the purpose of this interview is to just have a safe space to talk about spirituality and sustainability. And Kat is somebody that I truly look up to and have been working with for the past year, and she's just a straight badass. And I'm gonna ask her some questions today about her life and what exactly we've been doing on this farm for the past year, and I think it'll be really enlightening for everyone as you get to know her. So welcome, Kat.
Thank you for having me.
And
Thanks for coming to the farm.
yeah, and I'm at your farm. Kat, do you want to start by telling us like a little bit about what you do here? Like, what's your role and how did that all come about?
So technically I'm the site manager here at Farm Lab, and I work for the Ecology Center, and we are in partnership with the Encinitas Union School District to grow food for the 9 elementary schools, and we are doing that with the community. And so that's really where my sweet spot is, and why I got involved was not only do I love to be farming and growing food, getting dirt under my nails, but I love to integrate people in that process. I think it's really important that we all get really excited about like where our food comes from and participate in it and have a remembering of like that knowledge that's in us. We all have a remembrance of how to grow food, how to connect with plants and nature, and we just need these opportunities to be outside and feel like a safe space to do that. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Yes. Oh. So Kat, what like got you into farming and working with plants and growing food?
Yeah, farming, my family has been farmers in the Midwest. They're corn and soybean farmers, and when I was little I would play in the hay barns, but I never really connected the dots to growing food. It's not what I went to school for. I went to school for environmental engineering, and I wanted to protect the environment. And as I was working for the water board in an office, it was a little soul-sucking to be sitting at a computer all the time and having these long-term projects. My mind just couldn't fathom like saving the world from behind the desk. I needed to get more hands-on. So I made the leap. I made a jump to working on a biodynamic farm in Costa Rica as like my sort of midlife crisis. And what led me to that though was goats. I can't forget the goats. They're a very important part of my life. Sitting and milking goats at City Farmers Nursery just changed my life. It was the first time my mind ever quieted down enough to like feel a reduction in my stress, and that was when I was 27 years old. So ever since then I've been seeking the good feeling. I got to work with goats for about 8 years at Wild Willow Farm, and milking them and having them be pets and little goat ambassadors for the farm. And yeah, that's really what got me involved, was that like just following the good feeling, wanting to be outside in nature too. Mm-hmm.
I love that, like following the good feelings, right? And not that like the objects, the feelings that drive you. That's so amazing. So my question for you is, obviously you thrive like being outside, not being behind a desk. When you think about like what you're doing here at the Farm Lab, and how do you internally know that this is creating a sustainable future? Like how does what you do on the daily, in every action that you do, like how do you know that for the long run in humanity this is the way?
Good question. Starting by unpacking that like knowing piece, you know, I feel like there's a knowing in our like mental mind, and then there's a knowing in our like body and in our spirituality. So like mentally I could know and look on paper and tell the great story of like, wow, growing food and showing kids where your food comes from, like that experience of pulling a carrot out of the ground, like that sticks with you. People remember taking a field trip, going to like the You Pick Pumpkin Patch, like those experiences like reverberate. And then I can know that there's more nutrients in freshly grown food, and that's going to be better for me. I know from experience eating like locally grown food that I just like feel better and can think clearer. So like on paper, I can like know that this is like a really good thing. But really like what makes me like know it's really great is like the connections from people, like when they come here, seeing people just like ground down when they come into this space, having like this instant intuitive like being at place and being at home. And so when we talk about sustainability, there's a lot of catchphrases with organic and now regenerative, and you can go on that like wheel of that sounds really good, but what's so important is just being and showing up, showing up here. And so when folks come and they choose to show up week after week, to volunteer and like get really sweaty and help, grow food, it's about so much more than growing food. It's about like growing our persons, like growing community. And I just can't even begin to like fathom what that would look like mentally, because going into this, I didn't think about that. I thought, I'm just gonna have my own farm one day. I just want to get away from it all. And it's like, oh no, we got to do this together.
Yes, yeah. And it is true. I see it happen. I see people come back time and time again because you can volunteer here, and it's just such medicine for people. It truly is. Even for myself, I've just felt like, oh, I have a purpose for living in this area, like that I can come be with people and cultivate and put my fingers in the dirt. It's just so important that we do these kinds of things. So thank you for sharing that. And then do you feel like there is a self-care practice behind all of this, behind your drive to do this, that you cultivate? What do you do, at home behind the scenes to really show up and be the best you can be, because you're kind of like the person in charge here, and have made this place amazing. So what sustainable self-care practices do you partake in?
There's a lot that goes into it. I have a life coach that I've been working with now for 2.5 years, going on 3 years, and that started before I came to this farm. And at my last farm, I have a lot of practice and no boundaries, working really hard. I would be out working in the field all day, and then I'd get home and be on the computer for more, and working these like 12-hour days. And I was like, I didn't get into this. Like, it was almost like I got into it thinking that if, I'm going to be outside and farming, and like that's going to, check that box. And it wasn't like that at all. So I really needed to reinforce my own self-boundaries and understanding like when is enough, like knowing that I have worth, like not having this like productivity be a sign that like I'm enough and like a good person. So I've done a lot of work to just reaffirm and acknowledge myself, so that when I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm at home, I can be at home and kind of have a little bit of separation, that I feel complete. Trying to understand like what good work is. It's a lot of unpacking to do. I mean, that's like a work in progress. The number one advice I give to farmers is starting out in this, and gardeners, is like the best thing you can do is like walk by something and just not do it. Trying to prioritize what's important and leveraging the resources and the help that I have. So I do a lot of work ahead of that to just organize myself. Self-care, I'm trying to like sleep and eat well, and COVID's made that really easy for me. Because oftentimes I want to be out and socializing and doing things and do, but that just like being at home and caring for just those basic things of sleeping enough and eating enough, and then spiritually just being enough for myself.
Beautiful. I love the boundaries part. That's so important, because we can just get burnt out if we keep overextending our boundaries. And it's so interesting how that in all facets of life we have to put up our boundaries and stay true to that.
especially as you're working as like an individual. I work by myself a lot, and so, you know, just knowing it's like, okay, it's time to like eat food, you know. I have to put reminders on my phone. That might go off at some point.
Yeah.
Like, reminder, did you eat enough food? Are you hydrated? Because I need those reminders. You get caught in the projects, and it's really satisfying, but, you know, don't want a headache later.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned a deep spiritual connection with goats.
Yes.
Okay, so that was kind of a semi-catalyst. Like, your parents were farmers. You worked on this place in Costa Rica. Then you had the goat experience, and then it kind of led into, you know, you being the head lady over here. What would you say, like, your aside from goats, what's your favorite like thing to grow, or like when it comes to veggies, like what do you find really, I know it's all probably great, but like what do you find like a divine connection with when it comes to trees or plants or?
So I mean, vegetables is definitely a hustle. It's like a hustle game.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy any of like our perennial crops. So vegetables are like annuals. You always got to grow them. Perennials are things that stay in the ground. And so I love trees. I think trees are just such a meeting spot of so much in our world. You know, I mean, from carbon sequestration, taking excess carbon from the atmosphere, putting it in the soil, to just this like long-standing knowledge. Getting to be around a tree that's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, there's so much wisdom to download.
Oh, yeah.
They have like weathered so many storms, and so just like being present with our like mama oaks in the region, it's so supportive. And
oof, I'm gonna cry. Where's the mama oaks at?
Yeah. Grandmother redwoods up in Northern California.
Grandmother redwoods.
Enlightened me in many ways. And the native species here, just the little killdeer that were like running around and like making their nests and pretending they have this broken wing. It's so playful. That feels like really playful to me. And our hawks that live up in the trees, that, you know, they have such this perspective. I think the animals here are guides for us, and when we can bring and slow down our awareness to really listen, like that's where the magic really happens. You know, yes, I can like be cultivating these plants and for our consumption, but it's that like connection piece that just goes beyond. Goes beyond like just eating, just being.
Yeah. So start your own garden, or not your own, but grow something somewhere if you can.
It's like the gateway, and then it's just on the other side.
Beautiful. Would you like to take us on a little walk and show us around?
I'd love to show you some farm.
Yeah, I think it would be inspiring for people watching. So yeah, wherever you want to start.
Cool. We're gonna just keep rolling, yeah?
Keep rolling.
We have the chickens. No, we gotta feed them some grubettes here. They're new snacks. I am the snack lady, so. You know, when I first got here, the number one request was like, we need chickens, we need some life. And chickens haven't always been my favorite because their poo is really stinky. But I've really loved these girls. They're just like so much fun to keep around. They're little buddies. We got Lieutenant Peck and little Susan.
Little Susan.
They got their personalities.
And the kids like the chickens too when they come.
Yeah. They've just been coming out. They feed them little peanut butter jelly sandwiches and all that stuff.
Awesome.
So, yeah, chickens are really important. And then out here in the farm, I mean, we have tons of open space for gatherings when that's acceptable again, for like fundraisers, not only for the school, but also for the ecology center. And, you know, I like to always say like that creating space, opening up areas really you can fill that intention. You fill that hole with what you want to create. So
you could have some sort of something here.
Yeah, with the lights, like weddings, dinners, farm dinners. I mean, that's really fun.
That sounds amazing.
Eating on the farm, fresh food from the farm.
Ooh. In time.
in this nice shoulder season, leaving summer, coming into the fall. And last of our cucumbers are growing in the front there, and all under cover are like broccoli babies and carrots. So the school really likes like salad bar food.
And so most of the food goes to the school, and if there's any extra, it goes other places.
Typically, yeah, we have like a few places we'll send out for donation, but we're definitely not at a scale yet where we're even satisfying the school's needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a young farmer and trying to figure out how to like
Pump.
ramp up production. I mean, you were harvesting carrots this week. It's like, that's not very efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and lots of carrot harvest. So we'll figure it out.
I've done a lot of carrot plucking.
I really like how this farm is designed with all the trees mixing up our growing field. So these are our citrus, lots of tangerines and oranges because the kids love them. And I just love seeing planting trees and then just imagine in like 5 to 10 years it's growing like so tall, being really wide, filled with fruit. Like it's just so exciting.
Yeah. And this all only started in January, right?
Essentially, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe about a year ago, a lot of the trees got planted, and all the native garden flowers also got planted. But yeah, this was just 4 or 5 beds over here in field 1, and so we've done a lot of work to build out these other beds. You know, leveraging the rains. We had such good rains this year, so getting that compost incorporated and the soil worked. Because all this before, you know, was just essentially like an empty lot, just kind of waiting around fallow for something to happen. And yeah, got a lot of work to build the soil, grow your food.
So awesome.
So we're seeing the end of summer here. Got tomatoes. The tomatoes all went for pizza sauce for the kids. The bell peppers are part of that. Pretty good. You gotta eat something on the tour.
We gotta eat something
And
on
not
the tour.
and not the grubs that we've had to get started.
And
Fresh gypsy. These are gypsy peppers. This is a great snack to like put on the salad bar for the kids, or dip it in some hummus. We got loads of watermelons, lots and lots of melons. We got herbs over there. Compost piles are like lining the outsides of the edges when we clear beds. All that material goes back, mixed with wood chips and some water to recycle, and then, you know, regenerate the soil another time.
really cool. Yeah.
So yeah, we have about like, let's say 3.5 acres of like land on this side, all being managed at different levels of intensity. Oh, if you come next Wednesday, we're going to be harvesting.
Oh, look at that.
This is our blue corn from New Mexico. Do you ever eat those like blue corn tortilla chips? It's like the same variety. And so yeah, we'll harvest this. Feels like it's got to dry a bit more. shuck it, and then it'll get ground into cornmeal, and eventually made into like a cornbread at the school for like a side.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
This school gets cornbread made out of corn. That's. I was eating slop when I was in elementary school.
Milk,
Big
those
straight
milk
like
cartons.
mayonnaise sandwiches and stuff.
Really pretty.
That's gorgeous.
Another variety of corn too, we're growing black popcorn because we used to do movie nights here last summer before COVID, and I was like, oh, we gotta grow more popcorn, and then we get popcorn with our movie night.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun when those come back.
Amazing. Lots of corn.
Go see some flowers too. Yeah, let's go with the flowers. Bus, Grand Mud's the iconic ecology center bus. With activities for kids to do. Have you ever smoked lemon verbena? Yeah. There's tons of lemon verbena here. We got our basil with all the bees. Just love the basil. The blue basil. So we have a huge native garden installation, about half an acre. Encourage all the native species and to support the pollinators so there's flowers year round. Yeah, the lemon verbena.
Smells
Where it's
amazing.
at. Stone fruit trees incorporated up here, pluots, plums, peaches, apricots. Walk underneath it. We can go. No, I love those trees.
They're the tallest trees on the property.
My favorite tool on the farm, my electric cart. Amazing, it's quiet and so resourceful. So yeah, we're building these cool trails to go through the farm and have the kids be able to knowingly walk around and so without worrying about stepping on the baby plants. The flowers are up too. The sunflowers self-seeded themselves.
Really?
We got the little coastal sage, Artemisias, and then self-seeded. We lost a lot of plants here because we got so much rain and the roots rotted out. But then we got so many plants that self-seeded. So it's kind of like, it's that working with nature instead of against nature. So why try and force some plants to exist here if they don't want to? But these ones obviously want to be here. So we'll encourage the little sunflowers and the sages. Keep the milkweed around a little bit for the monarchs. Cool. So yeah, it's a nice garden.
Awesome.
It's the interface too for the school, so I'm trying to keep it looking pretty.
Absolutely. Cool.
Thanks for walking around.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching today. This was really awesome, Kat. Is there any way that we can support you, or in what ways can others get involved in?
I mean, starting a garden at home is
Yeah.
really great, and so I always recommend first-time growers at home. Sometimes you only have a container. Is like herbs, rosemary, oregano, thyme are medicinally supportive and delicious in your kitchen, and they're also really resilient when you forget to water them. Water is really important for plants, so most people overwater or underwater. So if you want to get started, the herbs are really nice and supportive. And if
Were they rosemary,
oregano,
and thyme? And thyme. Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of people take the
Rosemary,
little basil hydroponics too that you get from the store. You can keep those going too in like a cup of water, and that's really fun. Yeah, because the herbs are really another access point too to our spirituality. So, and a remembrance too. I mean, our ancestors have been using these herbs to, you know, fight off bacterial infections for forever. So, they're a good way to stay connected. And yeah, other supportive things. There are other projects too where you can come and volunteer on a farm and build community, sign up for a community garden, you know, eat food together, go to a farmer's market and like buy food, cook it together, eat it together with your friends. Like, that's really fun. And yeah, just get outside, you know, and shut up, listen.
Shut up and listen.
Yeah. Yeah. Good ending. Good ending.
Thank you. Bye.